What's going on, guys? Hey, we're gonna do a little quick update about the Strait of Hormuz and what's going on over there. It's been a little bit since we've covered specifically the Strait. We talk about the war in Iran quite a bit, but this is a little bit different. So this is just a CNN special. It's 8 minutes long. It's short, and we're gonna talk a little bit about it. But just kind of a quick update. Let's get into it.
Two
Hey, grab a T-shirt if you want one. Anti-Putin Social Club, and jump in the Discord if you're not already.
of its vessels were attacked while transiting the Strait of Hormuz Thursday.
Hold on.
The United Arab Emirates says two of its vessels were attacked while transiting the Strait of Hormuz Thursday. A state-owned oil company, ADNOC, says no one was injured and the situation is under control. But it's not clear who was behind the attack. What more do you know about the attacks of these two UAE?
Hey, and let's not get into the semantics of what news station that we're watching. I noted, like, when I watch Fox News, the comments are, "Fox is terrible. We hate Fox. What are you doing, brother? Don't watch Fox News. It's brain rot, blah blah." Then I watch something on CNN. The comments the exact same about CNN. This is brain rot. F CNN, blah blah blah. It has nothing to do about the actual news outlet. Because I agree, typically. I think these major news sources are absolute garbage. But when it comes to the big picture situations that are happening, that's what we're looking for. And they can talk about that.
Vessels that were transiting the Strait of Hormuz.
So we've heard from ADNOC, which is the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. They say that it was two vessels which were impacted. They have said there are no injuries. The situation is under control, and they say that they came under attack as they were trying to transit the Strait of Hormuz. So yet another example and of just how difficult trying to cross that strait is. The latest figures we have show that some 13 vessels tried or managed to cross just yesterday. That's a fraction of the 130, 140 that we were seeing every single day pre-war. We've also heard from Marisks, this is the Maritime Intelligence Group. They've put out a report saying effectively there is no genuinely safe side of the Arabian Peninsula for maritime traffic at this point, pointing out that the Strait of Hormuz to the northern part is dangerous, and then also pointing out that in the southern part, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait is also being threatened by Houthi rebels, saying that these two issues cannot any longer be discussed separately. They have to be taken into to consideration.
You know what's crazy to me too is it was just last night where I read a news headline that Donald Trump said, "We own the Strait of Hormuz." His words, "We own the Strait of Hormuz." Are we living on the same planet, dude? I feel insane sometimes.
Together, but all of this really does put a huge amount of pressure on the situation, given the fact that with the Strait of Hormuz coming under attack and ships not being willing to take that risk to try and transfer goods or energy, oil, that particular way, that it put more importance on the Red Sea, the Saudi Arabian Red Sea ports. And of course, now those are under threat from Houthi rebels. It is just making a bad situation even worse.
Iran is feeling the economic pain as a result of the war. A local mayor decided to...
Quick pop quiz. And why are the Houthis holding the Red Sea Strait hostage now? Because Iran proved that it's a successful tactic. And the U.S. basically failed in preventing the Iranians holding the Strait of Hormuz hostage. So the Houthis are like, "Oh, that works? Oh, we're just going to do that right here."
Scrap plans that would have sharply increased the price of petrol for residents. The rate of inflation in Iran has soared over 130% over the past year. Now, joining me now from Dubai, Colby Connolly is the head of Middle East content and a senior analyst at Energy Intelligence. He's also a senior fellow at the Middle East Institute. Thank you for joining. First, let's get to the state of the Strait of Hormuz right now. By our count, according to marine tracking data, there have only been 8 ships that appeared to pass through the Strait of Hormuz on Thursday, and the caveat is that some of the ships may have had their transponders turned off. So it doesn't look like there's an immediate end in sight to the bottleneck. Are alternative options being explored? Are they more important now than ever, in your opinion?
Obviously.
Thanks, Ivan. The alternative options are more important now than ever before, as you say. At the same time, none of them are quick fixes, and in the meantime, the ability to transit the strait remains, fraught. It's very dangerous, but there does remain a willingness among some shippers and producers in the region to continue to get limited exports out. And of course, get tankers in to continue that process. Where,
from my understanding, the issue's not the bravery of the sailors and the people on the ship. It's about the companies that are insuring these ships, because I'm sure these shippers are like, hey, let's wing it, dude. Let's get through this. Let's get our guys home. Let's get these things shipped. But if they take damage, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, in some cases potentially millions of dollars worth of damage, and they're not insured, that shipping company's in a lot of trouble, right? So that's from my understanding, that's the main issue, is these insurers don't want to insure these boats to cross the strait, which why would they? If every other ship, or that's an exaggeration, but if multiple ships are getting hit by drones when they try to cross,
it's possible. So that's something that has kind of emerged in this situation where, on the one hand, the U.S. says the strait is open, Iran says it's closed. The reality is somewhere in the middle of that, but it leans a bit more towards the Iranian position. The risks are clear, and they have been for years now. As you pointed out earlier, there were 2 more tankers attacked just last night, and that is not pointing to any kind of resolution. It's not pointing to any type of normalization anytime soon. And I think you'll see these attempts continue to be made, though, just because, as I said, none of the bypass routes that would have to take place over land via trucking or the construction of pipelines are available in the short term. These things take months and years to get completed.
There's been no shortage of hot air, of threats between Tehran and Washington. I'm wondering what you make of Scott Bessent, the U.S. Treasury Secretary's latest threats about applying measures the likes of which have never been seen in the history of economic isolation.
I hate that the administration uses that term so much, or this phrase of, nobody's ever seen this before. It will be the biggest that anybody's ever seen, the strongest anybody's ever seen. This terminology is absurd to me, because when you use it about everything you're talking about, it loses all of its value and effect, right? If this was not such an overly used phrase, and Scott Bessent says this is going to be such a severe economic strike, essentially, something that nobody's ever seen before, everybody'd be like, oh. But because every time they talk to the news, they say something like this, everybody's like, all right, next, change the channel.
A country. I might point out that, the first U.S. sanctions against Iran go back to 1979, when then U.S. President Jimmy Carter imposed sanctions on Iran for the hostage taking at the U.S. embassy there. And the sanctions have pretty much piled on since then. So what could Washington conceivably do beyond the isolation that it has already imposed on Iran for decades?
Yeah, I mean, that's the point to remember. Iran is very practiced at living under sanctions for decades, right, as you've said. So we'll have to wait and see what the White House comes out with. In the near term, what they've made clear is the willingness to keep this blockade of Iranian ports in place. And it's not something that Iran can withstand forever. As was pointed out, inflation in Iran is up. Loadings at the Harg Island export terminal, which is where 90% of Iran's crude oil exports flow from, have effectively stopped in the early weeks of August. So there is pressure, to be sure, but in a sense, time is really on nobody's side here, even though Iran is a little bit more practiced. But the world continues to draw down oil inventories in the meantime, and that's a dynamic that cannot continue indefinitely.
And can I ask you, how is this being felt where you are in Dubai and in the other Gulf kingdoms?
Just to piggyback off of that point, I guarantee this U.S. blockade of Iran, not letting Iran get any of its trade and commerce and stuff like that, is having a massive effect financially on the country of Iran. But who is that ultimately affecting? Typically the Iranian people, not the dictators who have piles and piles of cash that they've been corruptly stealing from the people for decades. The dictators and corrupt politicians of Iran don't care about about these sanctions. Like they said, they've been under sanctions for the last 40 years. These guys know how to handle this. They're still chilling. It's the people who are suffering. Once again,
Kingdoms that rely so heavily on export of energy supplies. Are they feeling the pressure after these months of conflict economically right now?
Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. It's being felt around the region in different sectors. Of course, the oil sector is not the only one, but that is also why this danger of continued attacks and miscalculation in the Strait is so sticky right now. It's just the longer this goes on, the more producing countries in the region need to find a way to get exports out. Iraq, for instance, is a good example of that. It's got a huge public sector wage bill that is primarily funded by oil revenues, and just a couple days ago, it was revealed that ADNOC here in the UAE is using some of its ships to help get Iraqi crude outside the Strait, where it's offered in the Gulf of Oman. So some of these more creative types of measures are beginning to emerge, and the longer this goes on, I think we'll see more different types of arrangements take place. Probably things that we're not quite thinking of just yet. But it's an unsustainable situation for everybody, as I've said, and so the need to kind of run the gauntlet and try to get cargoes out is going to persist, whether there's a resolution or not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, and actually, one of the most recent statements from Trump is him saying that they're going to lay off military aggression and focus more on the economic pressure again. And it just doesn't seem like the way to go, man. Also, one of Iran's biggest allies is one of the richest countries. Well, it's the second richest country in the entire world, China. We have no idea how much China is helping Iran financially, right? And let's just assume, we have to assume, that China is funneling cash to Iran through back alleys and black market and different ways like this. If that were the case, which I would imagine it is to some extent, Iran could sustain this blockade and these economic sanctions for years and years and years. And that's just if China was helping. We already know Russia's helping. We already know North Korea is also helping. I don't see the economic I don't see a world in which Iran finally hits a tipping point to where they're like, all right, we're too broke now. We give up. You can have the Strait back. I see these people eating their own arm out of starvation before they actually give up that Strait of Hormuz willingly. So let me know what you guys think. This is the world's a crazy place right now. It's a really crazy place, man. I love you guys. We'll see you in the next video.